There's a moment in life, quiet, almost invisible, when something shifts inside you. It doesn't come with applause or warning. It doesn't arrive like a grand revelation. It comes softly, like morning light through a curtain. And suddenly, the thing everyone has been pitying you for, the thing they've been whispering about, worrying over, trying to fix, you realize it's not your burden, it's your salvation. I'm 83 years old. My name is Mary, and for the past 15 years I've lived completely alone. People don't say that without a certain tone. You can hear it, even when they try to hide it. My children look at me with concern. They think I don't notice. My friends tilt their heads just slightly when they ask, "Are you okay?" Strangers? Well, they don't even try to hide it. They assume. They assume I must be lonely. They assume I must be waiting for more visits, waiting for company, waiting, perhaps, for my life to feel full again. But they don't understand something that took me a long time to learn. Living alone didn't empty my life. It gave it back to me. And what it gave me came in quiet, unexpected ways. 9 benefits nobody prepares you for. 9 gifts I never had in all the years I was surrounded by people. Because I used to believe what they believe. I thought being alone meant something had gone wrong. I thought it meant I had failed somehow. I thought it meant I had lost more than I could ever regain. But I was wrong. Living alone didn't take from me. It gave me everything I didn't even know I was missing. And if you're standing at the edge of this kind of life, if you're already there, or if you're afraid you might be one day, then I want to tell you what actually happens. Not what people say happens, what really happens, because it changed everything for me. At first, it sounded like concern, the same phrases repeated over and over again. You must be so lonely. Don't you miss having someone around? Wouldn't you be happier with company? It was said gently, kindly even, but underneath it was an assumption that something was broken, that my life had a hole in it that needed filling. And for a while, I believed them. The first year after Richard died, I tried very hard to prove that I wasn't alone. I said yes to everything. Invitations I didn't want, social groups I didn't care about, luncheons, gatherings, phone calls that stretched longer than they needed to. I filled my house with noise, television playing in the background, even when I wasn't watching, music, chatter, anything to push away the silence, because I thought silence meant something was wrong. I thought quiet meant emptiness, but slowly, something began to change. One morning, I woke up and didn't look at the clock right away. When I finally did, it was 8:30. I had slept that long simply because my body wanted to. No one needed me earlier. No one expected me to be up. I made breakfast at 10 o'clock, had dinner at 4:30 that afternoon, not because it was time, but because I was hungry. And for the first time in my life, something very simple, very quiet, and very powerful occurred to me. There was no one else's schedule to follow, only mine. That was the first gift. You get to be exactly who you are. For decades, I had shaped myself around other people, around my husband, around my children, around what was needed, expected, required. I woke up when others needed me awake. I ate when meals were supposed to happen. I slept when everything else was done. I never stopped to ask myself what I wanted. Not really. But living alone, you can't avoid that question, because there's no one else there to answer it for you. And so I began to notice. I discovered I'm a morning person, not in theory, but truly. I like the quiet of early light, the softness of the air, the stillness before the world begins speaking. I like my coffee outside. I like silence, not as an absence, but as a presence, a full, rich, comforting presence. I learned I don't enjoy small talk. I never did. I learned I prefer one honest conversation over 10 polite ones. I learned I think better when I walk, that I always have. I learned I prefer cool weather, fresh air, reading over television, writing over speaking. These may sound like small details, but they're not small. They're the blueprint of a life. And I had lived decades without ever studying my own. The second gift was peace, not the kind people imagine, not silence for the sake of silence. Real peace, the kind that settles into your bones. I sit on my porch most evenings now. I don't do anything, I just sit. And something extraordinary happens in that stillness. Memories return. Not the big ones, the weddings, the births, the milestones, the small ones. The smell of my mother's cooking, the way my father held the newspaper, the sound of rain on an old roof. These things only come back when your life becomes quiet enough to receive them. I used to fear silence. Now I understand it. Silence is where life gathers. The third gift was control, complete control over my space, my choices, my environment. I painted my bedroom bright yellow last year. Bright, unapologetic yellow. My daughter said it was too much, too bold, too loud. She suggested something softer, beige, gray, something appropriate, but I painted it yellow anyway, because it's my room, my eyes that see it, my mornings that begin in it, and I love it. I bought a red couch too, completely impractical. It doesn't match anything, but it makes me smile every single day. And for the first time in my life, that was reason enough. The fourth gift was space, not just physical space, emotional space, mental space. When you live with others, even people you love, you're always adjusting, always aware, always managing something, their mood, their needs, their presence. You don't even realize how much of yourself is being shaped in response to others, until suddenly, it isn't. Living alone gave me permission to stop performing, to just exist, to feel without explaining, to be without adjusting. And in that space, I found myself again. The fifth gift was better relationships. It sounds backwards, but it's true. When you're not surrounded by people all the time, the connections you do have become intentional, lighter, cleaner, more honest. I don't see my children as often now, but when I do, it's because we choose to, not because I need them, not because I'm trying to fill silence. And that changes everything. Our time together feels real, not obligated, not heavy, just genuine. The sixth gift was confidence, not surface confidence, earned confidence, the kind that grows from doing things you didn't think you could do. I learned how to fix things, simple things, a faucet, a shelf, a light fixture, not perfectly, but successfully. And each time, something inside me shifted. I stopped seeing myself as fragile, as dependent, as someone waiting for help, and started seeing myself as capable, strong, independent. And that feeling spreads into everything. The seventh gift was rediscovering joy, small joys, quiet joys, the kind that don't require anyone else. I started writing, just for myself, no audience, no purpose, just thoughts on paper. I started gardening, not because I had to, because it made me happy. I tried baking bread. It didn't turn out well, but I loved the process, and that became enough. The eighth gift was creativity, Not talent, not perfection. Freedom. Freedom to try things without needing to be good. Freedom to explore without judgment. I painted. I learned small things. I experimented, not to succeed, but to experience. And that kind of creativity, it brings you back to life. And the ninth gift, the most important one, I learned the difference between being alone and being lonely. Because I was lonelier in a full house than I ever have been in an empty one. Now I am alone, but I am not lonely because I know myself. I see myself. I'm enough for myself. And from that place, every connection becomes a choice, not a need. And that changes everything. So when people look at me with pity, I understand. Because I used to think the same way. But now I know something they don't. Being alone is not something to fix. Sometimes it's something to celebrate. And I do. Every single day.